Welcome back to the channel, you guys. I hope you're having an awesome day today. For this week's video, we've got something really cool in the studio to share with you guys. We have our custom 10S Guitars Modern Super Tele. So this is a guitar I designed and had the guys at the 10S Custom Shop build. Took about 3 months and it's finally arrived. So what we're gonna do today is find out if it's any good. So honestly, who doesn't love a little harmony lead guitar? That was a super fun jam to put together and this baby handled it no problem. So I'm going to subdivide today's video into 3 parts. Part 1, I'm just going to show you guys the guitar, all the features I chose, and sort of talk about if it actually came together in a cohesive instrument that's fun and easy to play. Part 2 is going to be the sound demo. I'll put all the times in the video description below so you guys can just skip ahead if you just want to hear the guitar in action. And part 3 is going to be me evaluating the 10S Custom Shop and see how they did, because part of the reason why I actually got to, design my dream guitar from the bottom up and totally, control all the specs is to see if, that side of their business is ready to go or not. Can they handle an order from me and, have a guitar come out the way I wanted? So those will be the 3 parts. Let's jump into part 1. All right, so here's an overall look at the guitar. Now I've dubbed this one the DBG Aurora because here in Canada we are flush with northern lights, and of course on this guitar we get beautiful blue into kind of black, deep purple, and then that kind of tealy green. Very kind of northern lights-esque colors. So this one is the Aurora. So I've been showing off this guitar a bunch on my Instagram channel. If you don't follow me there yet, head over, give me a follow, because oftentimes I show stuff that hasn't made it to the main channel yet. But let's jump into the main design. So we're going to start off on the headstock because this is super important. It's going to determine whether your guitar holds tune well or not. So there's probably 3 or 4 elements that, I really wanted on, my custom guitar, or if I could design this perfect guitar. A few elements that had to be met. First of all, no tilt back on the headstock. So as you guys can see, it's straight and it's made of maple, so it's super strong. So if there's an accident where, you give it to a friend and they drop it, or somebody tips it out of a guitar stand, this thing is not gonna break off. Super strong maple, no tilt back on the headstock. So perfect design from that aspect. Next up, we had to have locking tuners. So here we go. Now the headstock overall has sort of like a little bit of a reverse headstock kind of aesthetic. Pretty modern, a little metal, but still really, really cool. The next element, of course, no string trees. So no tilt back, no string trees, locking tuners, which means the only point of friction on this whole headstock is the nut. And if it's cut well, you're home free, your guitar's gonna hold tune. And finally, I want to show you guys the break angle of the string through the nut. So as you guys can see, it's extremely moderate. So I can just take a string, pull it right out of the nut, no problem at all. There's no excessive downward pressure on the nut, which can cause binding. So super easy, barely any tension on the nut. The guitar sustains like crazy. It's a total myth that you need a lot of downward pressure on your nut to get sustain. Totally false. This is the perfect design for the perfect headstock. Okay, so let's move on down. We've done the headstock. Let's talk about the neck. Now, the most important thing for me on the neck was a nice satin finish, and the guys at the custom shop have definitely delivered that. So as you guys can see, it's got some absolutely stunning flame all the way up and down the headstock, or up and down the neck, I should say. Very, very cool. And of course, on the fingerboard as well. So the profile is a nice modern C with a slight flattening on the back. So it's very Fender-esque, it feels very comfortable, but with a slight flattening. So a little bit different, but close enough that if you're comfortable on a Fender, you're gonna feel right at home here. and I didn't want anything quite as thin as an Ibanez or anything, so it's a nice hybrid neck. Feels very, very comfortable, full enough in the hand, you know, to grab it like this, but when you shift your thumb back to maybe do some lead playing, it's slightly flat, so very comfortable whether you like your thumb over or on the back. Now aesthetically, it's a really, really beautiful neck. The guys at the custom shop there did a great job. Abalone inlays here with a custom DBG on the 12th fret, which was a really nice touch, nice option that they offered. And other than that, I guess I should say it's a compound radius neck, so a little bit more round here by the nut, and by the time you get to the 12th fret, it flattens out quite a bit. All right, so let's talk about the guitar body. Now obviously this is an ultra modern take on a Telecaster, so we need comfort cuts and contours everywhere. Now, as you guys can see right here, we've got a beautiful kind of bevel that goes along the whole top and bottom side of the guitar body. Sort of like an SG in some ways, I guess, that way. Very, very comfortable and just looks great under the lights because, you know, you can have that burst coming from kind of almost black, dark blue to slight kind of purpley in here and then into the teal. So that contour just really makes the finish pop in a pleasing way. And of course, the other thing you'll notice is a really, really generous lower horn cutaway scoop. So I can get right up to the 22nd fret, no problem, no hindrances. So that little scoop right in here, or that little contour on the lower horn, very comfortable and beautiful. Now, as for the bottom part of the body, you can see this bevel kind of comes up to the edge of this massive, massive forearm contour. I had requested like an absolutely huge one, and it is massively comfortable. It's so great. The guitar body really thins out kind of along this edge here, but it's worth it for that contour. It's just so comfortable to play in, you know, any style you play. This thing's going to help. It's absolutely super comfortable and beautiful. And here you can actually see a line. The body is mahogany with a maple top. So right along this edge, I don't know if that'll show up. I'll try to catch it in the right light, maybe there. This is all mahogany, and then you can see where the maple starts right there. So really, really cool. Those are the main contours on the front of the guitar. All right, so on the back side of the guitar, we have a beautiful translucent blue. You can really see the mahogany. Lovely with a huge belly cut right here. Very, very comfortable. And I just wanted to show you guys quickly how much it actually thins on that contour part. So here's the contour, and you guys can see how thin the body gets right here. Super comfortable and lightweight, and really just, you know, super ergonomic to play. And finally, I just wanted to show you guys the 10S contoured heel joint. So very, very thin here compared to a Telecaster. And of course, it's offset off the neck, so it's kind of shifted up so it stays away from the bottom of the neck and your hand. Overall, pretty cool design. I think I would prefer it if this sharp corner here was a little bit more radiused, a little bit more rounded. That would make it just about perfect, but overall, really, really cool. Now in comparison, here is a standard Telecaster heel joint. So extremely thick and bulky, obviously a classic design, but when it comes to comfort and playability, the 10S definitely has it beat. Now the final aesthetic element I requested was to have the forward V flame top. So as you guys can see, it's not a straight book match flame like this. Everything's tilted forward into those V's, and I sort of feel like it gives the guitar a nice sense of motion, like it just wants to be picked up and played. Sort of in the same way that, like, if you're designing a supercar, you want it to look fast when it's standing still, like a Ferrari, you know, or a Lamborghini or any supercar. Even when it's not moving, it looks fast. That's sort of what I wanted. Not that I'm a speed player in any way, but I just felt like it gives it a really cool sense of motion. Now in terms of the electronics, it's very simple. It's a 3-way switch, humbuckers engaged, and then you can split the coils with the tone control and go into traditional Tele single coil mode. All right, you guys, so that's the broad strokes of the 10S Aurora. Perfect headstock geometry, locking tuners, satin neck, beautiful flame maple, compound radius, 22 frets, contoured body, simple electronics, very, very lightweight, I should mention, probably right around 7 pounds, I would guess. Mahogany body, maple top, fixed bridge, strung through the back. So very, very simple, but elegant at the same time. Let's get on and do some playing. All right, you guys, so let's test out some of the tones. I'm going to be using my Blue Angel amp, mic'd up with the Sennheiser E906 mic, and we're going to be using the True North overdrive pedal as well as the 68 drive. But let's start with just some basic clean tones. Here we go, neck position, full humbucker mode. Let's test it out. Cool, let's test out the single coils. That's a nice sound. All right, now let's try it out with the 68 drive in the bridge position. Here we go. Now in part 3 here, I'm going to evaluate my experience working with the custom shop at 10S. So I was used sort of as a guinea pig, which I was happy to do because I got to spec out whatever kind of guitar I wanted to with whatever design elements on it I wanted, made out of the woods and electronics that I chose. So really I had full creative control on this instrument. So let's find out how they did. Now at the time of this build, there was a couple options that I had requested that didn't quite make it to the build. So I'm not sure if they were not available at the custom shop at the time, but the guys at 10S said they're gonna make these options available. First of all is roasted maple neck. They're gonna become more and more popular because guitars are being shipped all over the planet. And having a neck that is resistant to twisting and warping and constantly needing, truss rod adjustments is just a win for all players. So hopefully roasted maple necks become more and more popular. That being said, this is, as you guys can see, an amazing, astonishing neck. And I'm used to maple. It's very hard. It doesn't really need a lot of tweaking. But roasted maple is just the best. And the second thing was stainless steel frets. So of course, on anybody's dream guitar, they probably would want frets that don't wear out right away. Now, the guy said these are the same frets that Fender uses in their custom shop, so they're gonna last a long time. They're great frets and the fretwork is really, really great. But in the future, I would love to have those two options. So other than those two things and requesting a rounder heel joint, the guys came really, really close, considering I was just sending them pictures of design elements I wanted, and then of course just like writing specs down. The guys came really, really close. So overall fit and finish is excellent on this guitar. Now there are a few spots where refinements need to be made. So right here I noticed there is a spot where the finish is worn through. Right there, there's like a little white spot. It's nitpicking, but you know, you wouldn't expect to find that maybe on like a super high-end PRS or something like that. And where the neck is joined, the screws, there's parts here where the finish is also, it just hasn't been finished. So you can see the raw mahogany around some of the edges of the screw holes. So again, something like that you might not, expect on a super high-end guitar. And finally, there's definitely some tooling marks right around where the string ferrules were attached. So you can see some dings and scratches right around there. Definitely not something you would expect on a custom shop guitar. That being said, the 10S guitar here is not going to cost, even a fraction of what a PRS would, and you get something absolutely amazing. So those are the complete blemishes. Just that little mark by the neck pocket here, and the screw holes and the ferrules. So I think if the guys could clean that up, you'd have pretty much a perfect guitar. So that's been my experience with the 10S Custom Shop. Overall, a magnificent instrument. Really cool to see something that has only been in your mind come to life. So that's been a lot of fun to do. And in terms of the small, like little finish flaws, or the finish flaking around where they put the screws in for the neck joint, they need to fix that, right? The reputation rests on the small details, especially the custom shop. And fixing those things, or making sure like an instrument doesn't leave until it's perfect, will take the reputation from good to excellent. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Huge thanks to the guys at 10S Guitars for enabling me to be a part of this project. It's been so cool. Hopefully we can work together in the future, refine this design a little bit, and maybe even make it available for people to purchase. I think that would be really awesome. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time with a new video. Take care.